Great gathering, and I just want to officially welcome everyone to the 2021 annual meeting of Hillels of Georgia. And we have a packed agenda this afternoon, but before we kick it off, I just, even as we're gathering this afternoon to celebrating some great accomplishments of our organization, our thoughts are certainly with our brothers and sisters in Israel who remain under the constant threat of attack from Hamas. And the past 2 weeks have been extremely difficult, as Israelis have been the target of more than 3,500 missile attacks, as well as the riots and violence that's occurring within Israel itself. So we mourn the lives of innocent Israeli men, women, and children who've been killed by these terrorists, as well as the innocent Palestinians who have perished in the past many days. So now more than ever, we stand with Israel and her people and offer our support and pray for a refuah shlema for all those who are injured. And as we join this call today, we want to especially acknowledge and extend our love and concern to our Israeli staff members of Hillels of Georgia. You're not alone. We are indeed Am Echad B'Lev Echad, one people with one heart, and we're standing together in solidarity. So I'd like to, with that, kick it off to welcome our Devar Torah, Molly Edline, who is with Agnes Scott College, Hillel, and she's going to share some words with us this morning, or today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Molly Edline. I am a history major and philosophy and religious studies minor at Agnes Scott College, where I serve as the Hillel president and religious chair. I'd like to offer up a brief Devar Torah on portion Naso. As I read and discussed the portion, the priestly benediction stood out to me, and one word in particular, shalom, or peace. What does it really mean for the Lord to bestow his favor upon you and grant you peace? The root of shalom is shalom, wholeness, or really to make whole. Shalom is more than the absence of conflict, violence, or war. It holds a sense of moral sensitivity. Shalom is the merger of refuah shlema, healing of mind, body, and soul, and tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice you must pursue. Peace is not idle, shalom is a verb. Grant you peace is not about God bringing a state absence of conflict, but rather the ability to see injustice and the wherewithal to work towards justice, and sometimes to burn institutions to the ground. At Agnes Scott Hillel, we take the charge to build a whole community very seriously. We sit in the unique position of having a majority non-Jewish membership. All of our programming is focused not only on creating a safe space for Jewish students, but also on educating and sharing in our religion. We have a beautiful opportunity to create a whole community in which we learn from each other and engage in dialogue around Jewish issues and beyond. We actively work towards recognizing justice in our community. We made a particular commitment this year to racial justice advocacy, hosting a fundraiser for the Atlanta Solidarity Fund, a bail fund for Black Lives Matter protesters, as well as through our initiative to register poll workers and share information on absentee ballots and voters' rights. We most recently upheld our commitment to peace and shalom through a talk held yesterday on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, in which we discussed the truth of the situation, as well as how to critique Israel without anti-Semitism. Most importantly, though, we remember that our work towards shalom is never complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Some important words always, but especially now, and I really appreciate you sharing with our group. Now we're moving on to the chair's report, which as Elliot and I were preparing for the meeting, we really have a lot to share. So I'm going to try to touch on a lot of things and go somewhat quickly, but it's really too important to just gloss over. So if you'll just indulge me for a little bit of a lengthy report. This past year has been one of great challenges as well as responses, as together we experienced all that the COVID pandemic brought, not only as individuals and families, but really as a Hillel community, serving each of our campuses and the thousands of Jewish students we care deeply about. So everyone associated with Hillels of Georgia has shown the following qualities, really: passion, creativity, and innovation, adaptability and flexibility, care, concern, and compassion, and certainly resolve, dedication, and commitment. I speak for myself that I am just so very grateful to our entire Hillel family for their support throughout the year. And this includes our board of directors for its leadership, dedication, guidance, and counsel, our individual donors and family foundations for their exceptionally generous support, the Marcus Foundation and the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta for significant commitments, ensuring the vitality of Hillels of Georgia, and our Atlanta community partners, including our other Jewish agencies, organizations, and synagogues who have continued to provide invaluable resources to Hillels of Georgia and services to our Hillel students, particularly this year. We thank our global partners, including Hillel International and the Jewish Agency for Israel, for the resources given to our professional teams, and really all of our professional staff for their hard work, dedicated efforts, and passionate devotion to serving our Hillel students and Jewish communities on campus each and every day. Our parents and alumni for their support and unwavering spirit, and most especially to our Hillel student leaders and members. Your commitment to create vibrant and dynamic Jewish life on each of our campuses across the state has never shined brighter than it has this past year. It's really been inspiring. So time, again, does not allow me to really go into depth on the entire list of our achievements at Hillels of Georgia over the last year and in each of our campuses, but I want to provide some highlights just as evidence of what we've accomplished together over the past year, even during the pandemic. Thousands of Shabboxes, or kosher for Shabbat meal boxes, hundreds of Passover Seders in a box, as well as kosher for Passover meals on campus, dozens of Jewish Learning Fellowship sessions online, including the first ever JLF 2.0. Thank you, Zalek Foundation, for that, which has allowed Hillel students to continue their Jewish education and awareness. We've had scores of Israel Learning Fellowship seminars and webcasts, week-long Israel Fest celebrations marking Yom HaAtzmaut, coordinated by our Israel Fellows on campus. And even though the planned Maccabi Task Force trip to Israel from UGA was postponed last summer, students participated in a virtual tour of Israel created by our very own Israel Fellow. So thank you more. We applaud the successful efforts by our Hillel student leaders and other students at UGA and KSU, introducing the IRA anti-Semitism definition through student government. We launched the Hillel Hive, thanks to the generous support of the Ed Hirsch Family Foundation, providing an online platform powered by One Table, enabling Hillel students to create and host their own Jewish experiences like Shabbat meals and other programs. This platform is really going to be a game changer moving forward, and we're just so excited to have rolled it out this year. We started Be Well with Hillel, which is has been a collaboration with Jewish Family and Career Services, made possible by a generous grant from the Jewish Federation, providing virtual mental health counseling services free of charge to any Jewish student. We dedicated a Hillel house at Georgia College State University in Milledgeville, providing a Jewish home for the more than 250 Jewish students on campus. And we transitioned from an event-based fundraising model to our first ever annual fund, which will raise over $600,000 this year from more donors than ever before. We also rolled out our inaugural Hillel Heroes event, where we presented longtime board member Bruce Weinstein with the prestigious Billy and Bernie Marcus Visionary Award. We thank Bruce for all that Weinstein wisdom that he imparted on all our viewers at that special event. We expanded Hillel programs and activities across every campus, and most especially at Kennesaw State, Georgia Tech, and Georgia State. Have to give a quick shout out to Tikkun Olam Makers, or TOM, at Georgia Tech, which was the winner of the Jewish Federation's Propel Grant competition, enabling Hillels of Georgia to expand this program to more campuses in the next year. Our students helped develop programming addressing racial equity, diversity, and inclusion, including the successful initiative launched by Emory Hillel, which raised more than $7,500 in support of community organizations, combating racism, and promoting dignity and respect. This summer, God willing, more than 30 Hillel students will travel to Israel and participate in internships through our Onward Israel program, made possible by our partnership with the Jewish Federation. And we're proud of our participation in the Onboard Atlanta Leadership Development Program for our board, thanks to the Legacy Heritage Fund and the Jewish Federation. We thank you, Kara Adler, for your commitment to this initiative on behalf of our board and for Hillel. So take a deep breath here, do a virtual clapping. We've done a lot. We have a lot to be proud of. And while all of this has been taking place at each of our campus Hillels and at Hillels of Georgia throughout the year, there's still much, much more to be done in the coming year and beyond. So just to highlight a few. We have started our capital campaign for our exciting new Hillel Center at the University of Georgia in Athens, but we still have a lot of work to do. With the amazing team of Michael Coles, Seth Greenberg, Mark Silberman, and Shelley Satisky, we are committed to raising the funds that will bring the beautiful architectural renderings that hopefully everybody's seen by now to life. It really is quite exciting and is going to bring a lot of energy to our campus in Athens. This past year, Mitch Reiner led the effort to create an exciting, compelling strategic plan to secure the future of Hillels of Georgia. And once we formally adopt this plan next month, the real work begins to take Hillels of Georgia to the next level and achieve organizational excellence across the board. Thank you, Mitch, and thank you everyone for committing to such an important initiative. We, of course, want to increase our outreach and engagement to alumni, families, and friends in order to expand our development and fundraising achievement in support of Hillel. We are committed to providing our dedicated Hillel professional staff with support, resources, and continuing education to inspire them and show our appreciation for the great work they do every day. And most importantly, we remain committed to supporting and expanding the engagement and empowerment of more Jewish students on all of our campuses so they can enhance their Jewish identities, create and sustain vibrant Jewish life on campus, and make contributions in the future to their Jewish communities and the world, which really is why we've all gathered here today, because we all really are committed to this important mission of Hillel. So on behalf of our professional team and our board of directors and friends and myself personally, I just really want us all to just take a moment to be proud of what we've achieved, and especially under some serious challenges, and celebrate those achievements and really kind of remain committed moving forward into the next phase of what we need to do. So it's with that very full report that I am going to call on Bob Walensky to present the nominating committee to the board.
Thank you, Stacy, and thank you for everything that you've been doing this year. You're doing a tremendous job, and Elliot. So as immediate past president of the board, it was my pleasure to serve as chair of this year's nominating committee. The nominating committee each year is served with the important responsibility to identify and recruit new members to our board, which will ensure the continued vitality of volunteer leadership serving to advance Hillel's mission. I wish to thank the members of this year's nominating committee. It was such a pleasure to serve with them and for their wisdom and hard work. And I want to thank Kathy Sela Kernoff, Bruce Weinstein, and Stacy Fisher. Before presenting our slate, I wish to acknowledge and thank Alan Soden for all that he has done on the board. He's done so much for Hillels of Georgia, and he's going to be retiring from the board this year. With the exception of Alan, everyone on the board is continuing. The following individuals we're recommending for election to the board of directors for a 2-year term: Vicki Benjamin, Rebecca Good, Shelley Satisky, and Jackie Weiss. With the addition of these 4 people who are going to add, I think, tremendous insight and work for the board, I think if they're all elected by the board, they'll be a great addition to the board. So right now I want to move that the full slate of returning board members and the new board members that I just announced be approved and voted on. hopefully by acclamation. So I so move.
Thanks, Bob. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, or at least virtually, so hopefully we can have somebody,
Oh.
yeah, thumbs up.
Man,
Any opposed?
no.
Okay, well, I think that makes it official. Very, very excited to welcome these new members to our board. And we're excited to get to know you and hopefully even be meeting in person sooner than later so that we can all really be able to move forward together on some of these important things that we've laid out. So welcome. Thank you, Bob and committee. You did a great job, and we're excited for the 2021-2022 board to get to work. I am going to call on Michael Coles, who has a special presentation to make at this time.
Thank you, Stacy, and thanks for everything you all have done this year. It's not been a normal or a year. It certainly has been a trying year, but the amazing things that you and Elliot and the board have accomplished is really, it's really amazing. I mean, there's no other word to describe it. So I have the honor today to present the Ofer Avaron Stand with Israel Award, which has only been given out 3 times prior to this. A little background on the award. When I became president of Hillel and Russ had come in as our new executive director, and we began to identify things that we need to improve upon to bring Hillel to the kind of dynamic organization that it could become. One of the places that was really lacking was a deep, committed relationship with the Consulate General of Israel's office. And boy, we could not have picked a better year than to try to do that when Ofer Avaron was our Consulate General. We developed a deep relationship with him and worked together on a number of different projects. Any of you that ever got to work with Ofer would know that he was there anytime you needed him for anything. And because of that beginning, we still continue to have a wonderful relationship with the Consulate General's Office of Israel. We, at the end of Ofer's term, we wanted to do something that would be lasting because of both the impact that we had with him, as well as the impact that the Consulate Office, General's Office of Israel had, frankly, on Hillel. And so we created a Stand with Israel Award, which we named on his behalf, and we presented it to him at one of his meetings. And Ofer was so taken away by it and so honored by it. And it's one of the reasons that we continue to have a relationship with him and with the Consul General's office. As I said, we've only given this out 3 times. First to Ofer. I think the second year we gave it to Mark Goldfeder, and then Mark Goldfeder, and then the third year Jan Ann Davis. And this year I am so proud that we are giving it to Russ. Way of background, we're not just giving it to Russ just because he happened to have been our executive director, but Russ's initiative on bringing birthright and bringing students in any way he possibly could to Israel, teaching some of the things about Israel that perhaps people had heard different stories about, but Russ's commitment to Israel and the Jewish people goes beyond most that I've ever known. And the fact that Hillel today has this strong relationship in the amount of students that we send to Israel every year is very, very much a responsibility that Russ took on. And I can't think of anyone that I know of now that deserves this award more than Russ. We wanted to give it to him in person a year ago. That didn't work out. We thought for sure we'd be able to bring him to Atlanta and give it to him this year after a pandemic. but unfortunately, we're kind of in that in-between space. But so we're having to do it by Zoom, but it doesn't take away from any of our praise for us and our honor in being able to give him this award. And Russ, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Michael, so much for those amazingly kind words. I also want to thank Stacy, Bob, the Hillels of Georgia board, Elliot, the staff, and students for this great honor. What a surreal time to be recognized for supporting Israel. Given the ongoing battles on the Gaza front, we have to ask ourselves, how can we support Israel more? Will one more comment on Facebook be worthwhile? One more hashtag, one more donation, one more phone call to Israel? In truth, be honest, I don't know. I don't know what would be helpful. But on campus, it's different. We have a goal and a roadmap. We want our campus to be pro-Israel, to develop pro-Israel leaders, make the case that we are on the right side of history, but most importantly, to live our truth, that Israel is part of our identity. If I am Israel, then if campus rejects Zionism, they reject me. If Israel is a pariah, so am I. And that is unacceptable for our Jewish and pro-Israel students on campus. So Hillels of Georgia throws literally the kitchen sink at supporting Israel, and I personally thank them for everything that they have done. I remember being told that we were being recognized by AIPAC as Allies of the Year some years ago. I called each staff member and congratulated them for their tireless efforts on behalf of Israel. Only later, I discovered that the recognition was for me specifically. I was stupefied by the injustice. Hillels of Georgia perennially acted in ways to be identified as the most Zionist hill in the country. That may have been a reflection of my leadership, but it was the staff's tireless efforts, day and night, trip after trip, that stood out. So I'd like to thank the staff first and foremost for this recognition. It equally recognizes you. As executive director of Hillels of Georgia, alongside the Michael Coles, I was given opportunities that I simply would not regularly have been afforded. Once, Michael took me to meet with Governor Kemp at the Capitol as we advocated for a statewide anti-BDS law. He told me to explain the situation to him and the lawyers about the situation on campus and pitch the idea to the governor and his lawyers. Like it was nothing, like this is something that just someone does any day, because that's how Michael works. And that was a run-of-the-mill event for Michael. We battled beyond our pay grade because of you, Michael. So I want to personally thank you. During my time at Hillels of Georgia, we brought 3 perennial Maccabee Task Force grants to 3 of our campuses. We created a 6-week Israel Learning Fellowship, created the ABCs of BDS program. We increased birthright registration. We ran several JLFs in Israel, mostly in Tel Aviv. We brought 1 and then 3 Israel fellows, some are who are on this call right now, to our campuses. We had the schluss to sue a university for discrimination, and we were able to hire formal legal help to help in that. Thank you, Moshe. We did a lot while I was there, and I appreciate my time specifically. I pray that the current staff continues our uber Zionist efforts, live up to the values of the namesake of this award, Ambassador Aviran, and continue the struggle with chutzpah when necessary to fight the battle on behalf of the state of Israel and the Jewish people. Again, thank you so much for this honor, and I look forward to seeing everyone in Atlanta soon.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Russ, and
Yeah,
Mazel
thank you
Tov.
so much, Russ, for everything.
And we know you continue to go from strength to strength. I mean, really, you're just an asset to the Jewish people, and we appreciate all you did to forward Hillels of Georgia, and specifically with the all the efforts bringing us closer to Israel. So thank you, well deserved, and thanks for joining us today. It's great seeing you, seeing your face. And now we're shifting to the part of the meeting that really is what it's all about, really highlighting our students and what we've been doing. So I think, I don't know if Elliot or Renee has the video montage ready to go.
Coming right up.
So there's just a sampling of what's been going on over the last year. A global pandemic certainly can't slow down our students and their ability to adapt and innovate and let the programming continue under whichever means we had to get it done. So thank you to our campus teams, our student leaders, and we're going to hear from one right now, I believe by video, Abby Frankel, who's the president of the Georgia College Hillel chapter.
Sorry, technical difficulties, 1 minute.
Hey there, my name is Abby Frankel, and this past year I've had the great honor and privilege of serving as Georgia College Hillel's president. This past year has been a huge year of growth for my organization. We've been on campus for about 12 years, and this past year was the first time that we've ever gotten our own space. I'm not just talking any space like a classroom that's located under the dining hall. I'm talking our very own house. This house has literally and figuratively opened so many doors for Georgia College Hillel, and I can't wait to see all the ways that it continues to impact the growth of my organization. This past year, we were able to do events that we've never been able to do before. In previous years, if we weren't able to secure a location in time for an event such as a Shabbat dinner or a high holiday celebration, we would simply have to cancel our event. This year, we've had no limitations on what kind of events we can do and when we can do them because we have our very own space to invite our students to come to at the end of the day. We've been able to do things such as Challah, which our genius advisor, Emory has coined, which is just chilling at the Hillel house. We've also been able to do things like yoga in our front yard or our very own Israel Fest, where we invited the artists for Israel to come in and they painted a huge mural on one of our main walls in our house that says, "Welcome to Georgia College Hillel," with Georgia College's mascot, Thunder. It looks really awesome, and it's the first thing that our students see when they come into the door, and they immediately know where they're at and feel right at home. We've also been able to do events such as handing out breakfast to our students the week of finals, which is something we've seen other organizations do, but we've just never had the means. This house means so much to the students because now we have a place to call our own. When we want to come together as a community, when we want private time to study, or when we just want to hang out with people that are like us, we can go to our Hillel house and be with our people. I'm so excited in all the ways this Hillel house has changed my experience in Hillel, and I know that it's going to continue to change all of our new students' experiences as well. I look forward to this year because it's going to be the first full year that we're able to really use our home in the way that we envisioned. This past year with COVID restrictions, things were a little bit more difficult, and we were really building all of the furniture and getting things established to make our house feel like a home. Now that we've created that foundation, I can't wait to open our door to all of the new students, to all of the returning students, and to all of our guests and visitors that we hopefully will be having this year. I look forward to the day that you guys have the opportunity to visit Milledgeville and feel what a special community we built here. Because to me, it's really changed my college experience. This house has been everything that I've dreamed of and more, and I know that it's also been a dream come true for so many people, including Dr. Karen Berman, who we wouldn't have gotten this house without. I want to thank a few people. Elliot Karp obviously has been a huge blessing to Georgia College at Hillel, and the support of everybody on this call has also been really meaningful to our community. I'm so sad and sorry that I had to miss today's meeting. I'm at an internship that I've gotten for the summer, but I send the warmest regards. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you to Abby and the Georgia College team. I know Elliot and I were really on a high for days after we got back from the dedication of the new Hillel house there. It's just really been a labor of love and a very exciting, bright future down in Milledgeville. So thanks to Abby. Next, we're going to get to hear from Jesse Steinman, who's the co-president of Emory University Hillel.
Former co-president.
Former.
I've been ousted. Yeah, well, I mean, the comments were flooding. Abby is amazing. I have been lucky to get to know her throughout the past year, as leaders tend to. And like her, I just wanted to thank you all for welcoming to this virtual space. It's so great to see old faces, Russ, and also new faces, and just the wider Hillels of Georgia community. So I have graduated, which has been an absolute honor, and commencement was this past Sunday. Our student speaker spoke on the topic of resilience, and I thought I would repeat the gist of his message and relate how the topic of resilience has factored into our leadership and Emory Hill experience this past year. He mentioned that resilience is something naturally to be celebrated, and it has been celebrated. This year has been immensely difficult. We've all been faced with adversity, and we should not shy away or be humbled by this resilience. It's something to be proud of, and something like this video montage showed that, you know, we've been able to persevere, and we have made great innovation and great progress out of you know, the hardships of this past year. And in that same breath, resilience also points to some of the systemic issues that exist within our community. And sometimes when we celebrate that resilience, we are celebrating people's actions and responses, but we're not identifying why the adversity existed in the first place, and why resilience was needed. And so Hillel really this past year has worked on, and specifically my leadership team as co-president, and with our other co-president, we've both wanted to celebrate that resilience and provide students the opportunity to face adversity through communal care, and also work towards systemic issues within our own community, to really strengthen what it means to be a Jew on campus, what it means to be a Jewish student and a Jewish leader, and just a Jew in general in 2021. One of the notions that I really wanted to instill within our own leadership board this past year is the idea of communal care. We've all heard the term of self-care, taking care of the individual self physically and mentally to make sure that we're happy and healthy and good. But rarely do we think of the term communal care. How am I serving my community? How am I ensuring that even if I'm not seeing my community in person, that, you know, everyone's good and the community's healthy, both physically and mentally? We've been very lucky to have a really wide leadership board. Thanks to a shout out to Becca. We expanded our leadership board from about 12-ish people to now, this past year was around 40, and next year it'll be almost 60, which is crazy. And with each individual student leader, they're bringing in their own micro community. And by having students serve their own communities and serve their own leadership, and use their leadership as a platform to bring together what their Jewish identity is with others in their own community, we've been able to exercise that communal care. And honestly, upon reflecting this year, Emory Hill is really strong, and you know, we identify a lot of students, and we're serving a lot of people, and Shabbat to-go kits are flying off the walls, and our events are being, you know, we have a presence, and it's really special as a leader to be able to see a healthy community. However, in that same vein, we've identified that a lot of Emory Hillel's work with regards to communal care, it needs to be expanded to the notion of, I guess, like radical inclusivity. And that is that Emory Hillel has been really good at identifying kind of the archetype Jewish student. And I'll use myself as an example. I'm white passing. I come from, you know, an affluent, you know, Jewish family in Columbus, Ohio. I had some Jewish education growing up, but not so much so that I was burnt out by the time I got to college and I wanted to get into Jewish leadership. So this is like this kind of self is very much so the type of student that is easily attracted to Hillel. And we've really worked on this past year, bringing in new students and forwarding this Heschel-esque idea of radical inclusivity to bring in as many students into our Jewish community as possible to expand the notion of what it means to be Jewish. So with regards back to this resilience, some of you guys saw the events that we've put on this past year, but just to reiterate, we've had some really amazing events that have exercised communal care, brought in individuals who not necessarily were a part of our Hillel community before, and just made people happy, and we're just simply fun. We've had great like yogas in a park event. We had a Shabbat candle making event, which there was a video of. We had a really fun campus-wide Afikoman hunt throughout the entire week of Passover, where the committee created clues to find like the Afikoman that was hidden around campus. And that was great. And then also you saw the video of our amazing Israel Fest. And all of these just naturally fun and exciting events helped continue the strength of the community and bringing people together, whether it was virtually or in person. However, also with regards to resilience is that we need to look beyond the acts of persevering through adversity and identify, why are some students, what are the hardships that students are facing, and how can Hillel provide them resources, support, and actively help in combating those issues. So I'll speak to two specific things. First is the resurgence of our Keshet Council, which serves LGBTQ plus students on Emory Hillel. This was something that kind of happened and it was somewhat strong my first year and a half at Emory Hillel. And it kind of faded away my junior year. But thanks to freshman leadership, we have a really strong Keshet Council. They're back and running. They had an amazing Seder, which I did not attend, but I heard it was amazing this past year. And the leadership group is even stronger going into next year. So that's an example of of Emory Hillel empowering young students to take on their own leadership. Furthermore, myself and another student, along with many other students this past summer, founded the Tikkun Olam Intersectional Justice Initiative, which first raised around, as it said, $7,500, but I think it was honestly over $8,000 with the help of match donors to local Black-led Atlanta nonprofit organizations. And after this successful fundraiser, we were really on a high. We were very much engaging with the Atlanta community, working towards racial justice. And we created a campus ambassador task force to be able to further racial justice within Hillels of Georgia, Georgia's agenda. However, our leadership group came back and the applications came back and it was all white passing students. And we can't be a racial justice initiative if we're all white. That's just simply the fact. And so throughout the past semester, we've kind of reverted courses and started a mini book club thanks to Jeremy. We have been working on bringing in different speakers and rebuilding trusts and relationships with various groups within our respective campuses. So I'm really excited to see how that work will continue. Again, I thank the entire Hillels of Georgia community for supporting Emory Hillel this past year. It honestly has been a great one, but there's a lot more work to be done. And I'm really excited to stay in touch with the community, even though I'm graduated, and see the amazing stuff that is yet to come. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Jesse, and Mazel Tov on graduation. I know I can speak for the group when I say that your excitement is contagious, and your message really of resilience and communal care and radical inclusivity are all messages that really extends beyond 2020, 2021 and this pandemic year. They're lessons going forward. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront. And I now have the honor of calling on Elliot Karp, our CEO, for his report and some special recognition. So thank you, Elliot.
Thank you, Stacy. And Jesse, thank you for those comments and congratulations. Jesse, you may be leaving Hillels of Georgia, Emory Hillel in Atlanta, but you're not leaving the Hillel family, and we congratulate you on being appointed a Springboard Fellow at Boston University Hillel. We know that you're going to bring that enthusiasm to them and to help them grow and strengthen in the future. And to each and every one of you, thank you for joining Stacy and me and everyone else this morning for our annual meeting. It's really a privilege, a professional privilege, and a personal pleasure to serve as CEO of Hillels of Georgia. And I'm grateful for your support and confidence that enables me to advance Hillel's mission. Against the backdrop of the recently released Pew Study in American Jewry, the challenging events in Israel just the past 2 weeks, and the rising tide of anti-Semitism across the country, and in particular on our college campuses, I can think of no more important role in the Jewish community, as Hillel has but one pervasive and overarching objective, namely to ensure that today's generation of Jewish college students embrace with a passion their Jewishness, their connections to the Jewish people, to the Jewish community, and to Israel with great pride. That is who we are, that is what we do, and it's all made possible because of you. To my predecessor, Rabbi Rush Schultz, Mazel tov and congratulations on you receiving the prestigious award this morning. We stand with Israel, for which you are so truly deserving because of your commitment to Hillel and Israel. I'm grateful for the tremendous foundation and achievement you have left me as your legacy, and I hope I can make you proud in helping lead and guide Hillels of Georgia to even greater excellence and success in the future. And I'd like to add my thanks to those expressed by Stacy, to our board of directors, our community partners, parents, alumni, and generous friends of Hillels of Georgia for your passionate devotion and commitment to advance our mission and our vision. To our tremendously dedicated and passionate Hillel student leaders, you inspire and motivate me each and every day to strive for greater engagement, empowerment, inclusion, diversity, innovation, and creativity. You are the reason why we are able to create vibrant and dynamic Jewish life on every campus in our Hillels of Georgia constellation. A word of personal privilege to my partner, Stacy Fisher. No words can adequately express my appreciation for your leadership, guidance, counsel, and support, other than to say thank you. Our sages teach that words that come from the heart enter the heart. My thanks for you are heartfelt. Thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to acknowledge and thank each and every one of my colleagues on the professional staff of Hillels of Georgia. This has been both an amazing year, a challenging year, and a rewarding year all at the same time. You rose up and addressed the challenges presented by the pandemic, and you conquered them with dedication, commitment, passion, determination, tenacity, and quite honestly, a lot of chutzpah. Chutzpah in that you did not let COVID-19 stop you from reaching out to, engaging with, and empowering your Hillel students to continue to create Jewish life on campus and in our virtual communities. You did so under very challenging and difficult conditions, not just professionally and communally, but personally. And you did it with great passion, you did it with great joy, and you did it with tremendous commitment. I cannot find words enough to thank you and appreciate you for all that you've done. So thank you very, very much. Now, several of our colleagues will be leaving Hillels of Georgia at the end of this semester and with a matter of a couple of weeks. And one in particular left us a couple of weeks ago, and that's Judy Abraham. If you'll bear with me, I feel like I'm in an art gallery here. But I have a beautiful presentation to make to Judy of this Rosenstein lithograph print by Mordechai Rosenstein. As many of you know, I'm sure all of you know, Judy's been our bookkeeper for almost 20 years, and she provided us with great skill and devotion. And while we greatly appreciate all she did to manage our finances, it's what's most important throughout that time was Judy's deep care, concern, and commitment to Hillel, to the staff, and most importantly, to our students. Judy has been and always will be one of Hillel's most ardent supporters. So Judy, we wish you well as you enjoy your family in good health for many years into the future. And I look forward to being able to present you with this small token of appreciation for your service to Hillels of Georgia. Next. I'm going to leave this one here since it's a little bit bigger. But this is also a Mordechai Rosenstein lithograph, which is Shalom al Yisrael. And I am pleased to present it with deep appreciation to Roe Shoshan, excuse me, our director of UGA Hillel in Athens. And Roe has made an indelible mark of achievement and success at UGA. We value Roe for his tremendous devotion to his students and to their well-being and to that of the entire campus community and the Athens Jewish community overall. He's been responsible over the last several years for increasing both the scope and the depth and the breadth of Hillel programming at UGA and introducing many new activities, including and most especially and closest to his heart, engaging students in really deep and meaningful and passionate ways with Israel in terms of their awareness, their education of, and their advocacy and support for Israel. Roe, we wish you the greatest of success and achievement as you assume your new role at the Friends of the Israel Defense Forces. We know this is something that is very important to you and to each and every one of us, and we wish you only the greatest of success on behalf of the brave men and women of the IDF. Thank you. So. Another Rosenstein lithograph. If you haven't noticed, I like Mordechai Rosenstein. This one is presented to Lauren Blazowski, who has served here at Hillels of Georgia for many years, both at Georgia Tech and most recently as the Associate Director at Emory Hillel. And this is a very beautiful lithograph that is inscribed, "May this home be a place of happiness and health." Lauren, we want to present this. I want to present this to you on behalf of Hillels of Georgia, both to you and Matt, because in addition to paying tribute to you for your leadership and dedication to Hillel, we hope that this will find a prominent place in your new home later this summer when the two of you stand under the chuppah together. Finally, we know that you had to put it off for a year because of the pandemic. And it'll also be a remembrance of your service, your leadership, and your passionate commitment to Hillel, of Hillels of Georgia at both Tech and at Emory and throughout our system. I would say to you, each and every one of you, that Lauren's passion has no match. She works tirelessly with her students, with her colleagues, and the community to ensure that Hillel is always best in class in every undertaking. On a personal note, Lauren was my go-to person this past year for anything and everything Hillel, whether at Emory or elsewhere in our system. And I'm going to miss her counsel, guidance, and support. Lauren, as I said, we wish you and Matt mazel tov on your upcoming wedding, and we wish you the greatest of success as you assume your new role as Assistant Director of Leadership Development for the Jewish Federation of Greater Detroit, which is your hometown and where you're returning to. Mazel tov. A few more. Ari Lieberman. Ari is, I think the best way of describing it, a powerhouse of energy and creativity. In just one short year, Ari managed to really transform the Kennesaw State and Georgia State Hillels and have set them on a trajectory of excellence. I so look forward to continuing to work together with Ari for many years to come. But alas, Ari is following his heart, his passions, and his true North Star. And he is entering a very special PhD program here at Emory University in theology and the law. And I know that Ari will remain close to us because I've already told him that he's going to chair the graduate student organization here at Emory Hillel. But Ari, we want to wish you the very best in your studies and in all of your future endeavors. And lastly, I would like to pay tribute to our two departing Israel Fellows. As Russ indicated, and we really have Russ to thank for the initiation and the implementation of the Israel Fellows program. Most Hillels are fortunate if they have one Israel Fellow. At Hillels of Georgia, we are blessed to have three. And Illinois Granot, who recently got engaged, Mazal Tov, will be continuing with us at Kennesaw State, at Georgia Tech, and at Georgia State Universities. And we will be having two new Israel Fellows joining us this summer, and I believe they are on the call from Israel, where it's a little bit later in the day. But Or and Ruth are coming to Emory and to University of Georgia, respectively. And we can't wait to welcome you here in Atlanta and in Georgia and to have you part of our team. But two of our Israel Fellows will be leaving us, having served us for 2 years as fellows. And they are Michal Hartman and Mor Ayala Omri. As shlichim, as Israel Fellows, both Michal and Mor excelled in their mission to make Israel come alive for our students and on our campuses. And they did this, of course, through programs, activities, and a wide range of events, including Birthright Israel trips, the Maccabee Task Force, Onward Israel internships, working with all of the various pro-Israel student organizations like EPAC and Dogs for Israel and Owls for Israel, and every other mascot for Israel that exists on our campuses. But it isn't the programming and the activities. Their creativity had no limits, as they hosted programs ranging from awareness of Ethiopian Jewry and the LGBTQ community in Israel to Israeli food trucks and special Israel-themed Shabbat meals and programs, and just all of their efforts at helping our students understand the real Israel. Most importantly, they were the face of Israel to literally thousands of students, Jews and non-Jews alike, on our campuses and across the state. Michal Moore, you have created an unbelievably important, strong kesher, a connection, an unbreakable bond of friendship and connectivity for our students with the people and the nation of Israel. Toda Rabah, and all good wishes for your future as you return home to Israel, knowing that you will always have a home here in Georgia and at Hillel. And on behalf of everyone, we have two gifts for both of you. One is a inscribed memento, which you probably can't read, but you'll see it this afternoon when we have our staff barbecue. And then the other one, a beautiful book about Atlanta, so that you can tell all your Israeli friends that come to visit you in your home what it was like, and you can show them the places that you visited. So I wish to thank you both once again, and thank everyone for attending our annual meeting. And I'd like to hand it over to Stacy for the introduction of our guest speaker.
Thank you, Elliot, and thank you, team, to everyone who has recognized. Your legacy will live on, all your great work that you did on behalf of Hillel and for our students. So thank you to Darabah. And my partner, Elliot, thank you. You fill up my email inbox a lot, but we've created a great team together, and look forward to next year continuing the work, and had to welcome you to Atlanta during an unusual year. So looking forward to getting you out and introducing you around town. You've done a great job virtually meeting practically most of the Jewish leaders in the city, but we're excited to emerge from this pandemic and really properly welcome you to Atlanta. So thank you for being there, and all you've done for Hillel and will continue to do. So now we've mentioned a lot about Hillel International, in passing, and the partnership we have. It really is, an amazing support for us, and providing so much resources for our team and lay leadership and professional leadership. And we're just very grateful for all the work that they have done on behalf of the international organization. And I'm very, very excited to be able to introduce Matthew Bronfman to give us some remarks. He is the chair of the board of governors for Hillel International. This board is composed of more than 35 distinguished leaders and philanthropists from around the world who provide counsel and advice to the board of directors and senior leadership. Matthew is passionately committed to Jewish life, the Jewish community, Israel, and of course, Hillel. In fact, he's joining our annual meeting today from his home in Jerusalem, where we hope and pray he and his family are staying safe. Matthew Bronfman is the chairman and CEO of BHB Holdings, a private investment firm. He also serves as chairman of the Lincoln Avenue Capital, an affordable housing investment firm, and Bronfman LLC, a provider of growth capital for private companies. Mr. Bronfman's philanthropic interests include a wide range of Jewish organizations, including the American Jewish Committee, where he is a member of the executive council and chairman of the board of trustees. He's also a member of the board of directors of the 92nd Street Y, having previously served as the organization's president and chairman. He's chairman of the International Steering Committee of Limud FSU, an organization dedicated to enhancing and engaging Russian-speaking Jewish communities all over the world. He also serves as honorary chair of NYU's Hillel. Mr. Bronfman recently received the prestigious Renaissance Award, which is Hillel International's highest honor, bestowed on an individual whose bold vision and transformative initiatives enrich the campus, the Jewish community, and the world. He received his BA from Williams College and his MBA from Harvard Business School. And we are so very excited to have Matthew join us today for our annual meeting and to hear about his vision for Hillel. Matthew, thank you so much for being with us.
Hello, Stacy. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for that very, very kind introduction. Wasn't actually sure who you were talking about. I'd also like to thank Bob Walensky and Michael Coles for your current and past leadership. Your commitment to Hillels of Georgia is, was, and forever will be important for our students. And yes, I am here in Israel. It's been a challenging 10 days, but hopefully this will be over soon. I think the fighting will be over soon. I'm not so sure that the repercussions will be over soon. And it's something that Elliot and I spoke about very recently, and other Hillel directors. And I think we have our work cut out for us. Before I begin my formal remarks, I want to mention also that I think it was Jess you said, and I love the term radical inclusivity. I think it's an amazing term and something that I love. When my father created the Board of Governors 25 years ago, I think his term was an open tent. And so that term really resonated with me. It has been an honor for me to grow my engagement with Hillel International the past year and to take this mantle as chair of the Board of Governors. Through this work, I've gained an enormous appreciation for the exciting things that are happening at Hillels across the country and around the world each day, and the impact that Hillel is having on our collective Jewish future. As Stacy said, I previously served for the last 7 years as honorary chair of the Bronfman Center of Jewish Student Life at Hillel at NYU. I've been involved with Hillel's Latin American program. Several years ago, we launched the Matthew Bronfman Hillel Fellowship, where we bring about 40 students from 15 countries together in Israel to learn how to bring Israel advocacy initiatives back to their countries. Through this work, I've been able to engage with Jewish students and young adults and see the power of Hillel, helping students find community, explore Jewish wisdom, and find their personal connections to Israel. The impact is deep and meaningful, and meeting these students makes me confident that our Jewish future is bright indeed. I can't wait until I can actually travel around the world to campuses, see how Hillels are inspiring and engaging students everywhere. I believe every Jewish student should have the opportunity to connect with Judaism, to learn the values of Torah, and to find a love for Israel. And through Hillel International, we are making sure that happens on campuses large and small throughout North America and around the world. As I reflect on my work with Hillel and throughout the Jewish community, I see myself as a bridge. Of course, I'm proud to continue the legacy of my father, Edgar, who co-founded Hillel's Board of Governors 25 years ago and left an incredible legacy of growth and commitment to this organization. In many ways, the Hillels we see today is due to his vision and his support. And while I'm picking up the mantle, the torch that my father lit, I see myself as a bridge to my children and my grandchildren. Yes, I have 3 grandchildren. I'm working to ensure that each of them and their children and their grandchildren can find a warm, welcoming Jewish space wherever they go, whatever they do. I want to make sure they have an opportunity to see the beauty of Judaism and of being a part of our shared heritage, and to have the support they need to make their own choices about how to live their lives steeped in Jewish values and traditions. In many ways, Hillel is doing the same thing, offering a bridge between the children these students were and the Jewish adults they are becoming. For the first time in their lives, students are starting their own traditions, envisioning their own futures, choosing their values. Hillel creates a pathway for them to find a place in the Jewish world that resonates with each and every one of them. Hillel shows students there's not one way to be Jewish, but instead multiple roads to exploring a deep connection to our faith, our history, and our community. These powerful moments of connection happen every day at our alma maters and in Rio de Janeiro, in the former Soviet Union. They happen in beautiful Hillel buildings and on Birthright Israel buses, and when necessary, on Zoom. And I know they're happening in Georgia. Through your work, you're ensuring that more than 5,000 Jewish students from across the state have access to support and services and opportunities to explore and embrace their Jewish identities and Jewish journeys. It means so much that this work is happening, not just on the big campuses with the large communities, but also at Georgia Southern University and your newly launching centers at the Georgia Institute of Technology and Kennesaw State. For us to ensure a bright Jewish future, we cannot ignore any young Jews, wherever they are around the world. I'm particularly inspired by Hillel of Georgia's wellness work, offering vital counseling services to students with mental health challenges and the opportunities you have provided students to connect remotely during the pandemic. Rather than pause learning until campuses reopened, You've expanded your Jewish Learning Fellowship and helped students create their own Jewish learning programs and discussion groups. Through my work with, as Stacy said, the 92nd Street Y, the American Jewish Committee, Limud FSU, and other great Jewish organizations, I've had the chance to meet many, many smart, enthusiastic Jewish leaders. And when I talk to many of them, their Hillel experience stands out in shaping their Jewish journey. That is why I believe Hillel is one of the best investments in the Jewish world today. Because in supporting Hillel, we are connecting with, inspiring and educating the next great Jewish professional, the next great Israel advocate, and the next great lay leader. With Hillel, we are building the engine that will drive the Jewish world forward for generations to come. Strong Jewish leaders advocating for fundamental Jewish values has been at the forefront of so many social justice fights at our time. Not just against anti-Semitism and the fight to ensure the memory of the Holocaust is remembered and never repeated, but also the fight for civil rights, LGBTQ rights, and the rights for all peoples to live in freedom and dignity. Those Jewish leaders and those Jewish values are shaped at Hillel's every day of every year. We know that to have this deep and sustaining impact on students, we need dedicated professionals committed to inspiring students. We need world-class facilities that will make Jewish students feel welcome and want to be a part of our community. And we need dedicated lay leaders like yourselves, willing to give your time and support to ensuring a strong, vibrant Jewish future. So I'd like to take this opportunity to urge all of you to double your efforts to build and maintain the great work you're already doing here in Georgia, to invest in the future of your local Jewish community, and to spread the story of the impact Hillels of Georgia is having to all of your friends in the community. Together, we can do so much more than just ensure that our students have a fun and exciting 4 years of college. Together, we can help them find a path to their own Jewish future and to ensure Hillel remains a bridge for thousands of students between the children they were and the strong, invested Jewish leaders we know that they will be. Thank you for having me this evening.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for being with us virtually. We hope we can meet in person sooner than later, and then you'll come down.
I hope so too.
Down in Georgia, and really kol hakavod to you and the entire Hillel International team for doing such great work and just keeping things going in the right direction. And you're absolutely right. It's up to us to really spread the word, and we have a great message and to really take it out to the community, because there's no work more important than the work that we're doing. So thank you. So I think that brings us to the end of our agenda. I am very honored to invite my own Rabbi Josh Heller from B'nai Torah. We mentioned earlier that synagogues have been part of a network that has been a huge support to us and to our students and our teams on campus. So Rabbi Heller, if you'll give us some closing thoughts, that would be wonderful.
So I just want to share, first of all, thank you for including me, how inspired I am to see all of the folks on this screen here. I know we would rather, it's cliche to say we would rather be in person, but just the quality of leadership at all ages and generations is really remarkable. And just offer a very simple prayer to finish our time together. So first of all, we pray for the peace and safety of our brothers and sisters in Israel and for peace for all in that region. And we express gratitude. We are grateful for the gifted professionals who devote their lives to the next generation of our community. We ask God that you bless them with wisdom and fortitude to continue their efforts. And God, we're grateful for the volunteers and the supporters who give time and talent and treasure to support the work of Hillel. They have a vision to invest in the future, and we pray that you bless them to be fortunate to see that future fulfilled. And most of all, we are grateful for these students. They enjoy privileges that older generations could never have imagined and face challenges that we could never have conceived. And so we ask you especially, God, to bless them. Bless them with a spirit of collaboration to find common ground amongst our Jewish people and even amongst peoples that their parents could not always achieve. Bless them with a spirit of creativity to adapt our traditions to a new and uncertain future. Bless them with a spirit of constancy to hold fast to that which links us to our past and should be preserved in our traditions. And bless them with a spirit of confidence to speak truth and hold fast no matter what they may face. And we pray that we are able to rejoin again, to treasure our successes and plan future growth many years to come. Amen.
Amen to that. Thank you for the inspiring words and really bringing a lot of what we've heard over the last hour to a appropriate close. So I thank you all for joining today, and look forward to the work that we all have to do together. Hope everybody feels as inspired as I do moving out of this powerful session together. So thank you, and may we all go from strength to strength, and continued prayers for Israel and everyone over there. Please stay safe. So
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy.
thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. Well done.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
Matthew.
Karen.
Hi, thank you. Great job.